Meet Raj. Raj is the owner of an Indian takeaway, however, he's eaten one too many and has to find the toilet deep in his cellar. This is Vindaloo on the BBC Micro, created by Jason Sobel and Kevin Blake and published by Tynesoft in 1986. Vindaloo is a 2D platform game where you play as Raj, the takeaway owner. You control him with the Z and X keys. Z moves you left and X moves you right. There's no jump or shoot, it's about as simple as it gets. By the late 1980s, the world was more than familiar with platform games. Internationally, it would have been very hard for anyone to ignore classics such as the 1981 Donkey Kong arcade game, and I'm sure most people would have been very familiar with early console platform games such as Pitfall on the Atari 2600, not to mention Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo Entertainment System, generally considered to be one of the best platform games of all time. But when it comes to Vindaloo, I think the influences are far more closer to home. While Americans across the pond were suffering after the infamous video game crash of '83, the future of gaming didn't look so good. In fact, a lot of people at the time believed that video games had been and gone and that was it. At the same time, there was a revolution happening here in Britain. With a surge of affordable microcomputers, young kids and teenagers were not only still playing video games, but they were making their own. Two of these games in particular that would have been clear and obvious influences on Vindaloo: Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy, both created by Matthew Smith. These games were a big deal. Don't believe me? Ask anybody in the UK who lived through the 80s to name their favourite 80s video games and I can guarantee that at least Manic Miner or Jet Set Willy will come up in conversation. Vindaloo is a game that could only come out of Britain. It's absolutely British. Aside from the obvious influences of Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy, there's also the toilet humour.
I better get some domestos.
Something we Brits loved, especially in the 1980s with our classic homegrown alternative comedy shows.
Get me out of here! Get me out of here quick before I shit my pants!
Not to mention that this game takes its name from a popular curry sold in Indian restaurants and takeaways here in the UK, the legendary Vindaloo. Usually the hottest curry on a menu, but in recent times overtaken by even hotter inventions such as the Tindaloo or the Fal. So what's the game like? Well, it's good, but about as good can be. The game is very unforgiving and doesn't really give a shit if you think it's fair or not. Jump a little bit too far onto a moving platform? Dead. Touch any of the walls while on said moving platform? Dead. Sometimes the game is fine with you making long jumps, and other times you'll make a shorter jump that'll somehow leave you, well, dead. When you touch an enemy you're also dead, but it's a platform game and that's usually how things work, but Vindaloo kills you off in a number of cheeky ways before you even begin to think about the enemies. Each screen has a name just like Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy, and the way you're scored in Vindaloo is by working down each screen and building up the depth points in the top left corner. The further down the screen and the further you get in the game, the more depth points you'll acquire. You gain bonus points by getting through the screens in a decent amount of time. So as well as the points in the top left corner, you've also got the time bonus, simply marked bonus, which ticks down from 9,999 in increments of 50. The bonus does reset itself either after losing a life or completing the current screen. Vindaloo looks like a simple game, and on the surface it is, but easy it is not. Vindaloo, named after a curry, but sadly not as hot as you'd expect. You've been watching Walking the Cow Gaming and Nostalgia on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you again soon.